Welcome to Reading on Headlines, where I read the tarot on news headlines. On today's episode, I'm talking about the Republican Party with the main focus on Trump's future in it. So let's take a look first at the energy in the Republican Party right now. It's been a wild time for the Republican Party recently with Ron DeSantis dropping out of the race, Trump staying ahead of the rest. So let's take a look at what the energy is in the Republican Party right now. We're starting with the Nine of Pentacles. I also have the Justice card. I'm pulling some more cards out that I feel like want to be included. So we got quite a couple to go over. The Nine of Pentacles, to me, is a card of richness, of being on top. And I think that a lot of focus in the Republican Party right now is money, is finances. What is the way? I really do feel like keeping the rich rich. Like, what is the way that the rich can influence? I do feel like there is a lot of influence from the rich into the Republican Party. I know that is not a surprise, right? But that is the idea that I'm getting here. Like, with the Republican Party being the way that it is right now, the rich will get richer and there's nothing we can do about it. And they have a lot of say in the goings-ons or the going-ons within the Republican Party. Then we also have justice, because there is a bit of, I don't want to call it an uprising necessarily, but there are people within the Republican Party who are not for Trump, who are standing behind Nikki Haley. I had read an article about people really rallying behind Nikki Haley because she has a different sort of story for the Republican Party. And I think it was Ron DeSantis who said that she was like preaching Republican ideals from, I don't know, yesteryear or something like that is what he said. But I think that that is a story that really resonates with a lot of Republicans still, because I feel like the majority of the Republicans are not necessarily not necessarily super radical. They're, and we see this in with Democratic Party as well. They're not radical Democrats. They're not like super on the left. They're just liberals. And I think we have the same with the Republican Party, where most of the Republican Party is not radical. They want to see justice, and with justice, sometimes you can feel like literal, actual justice. So energy in the Republican Party right now is focusing on, is Donald Trump going to jail? And I definitely think that that is a big focus within the party right now. Both the voters as well as the people, like, I don't know, in charge, I guess. But what I always associate with the Justice card is a reaction to an action. Every action has a reaction. So it's going to be super interesting to see how that pans out, and to get a bit of context on what action is going to get what reaction. I have the Two of Pentacles here, where I feel like the first thing that popped in my mind is like playing both sides, which is really interesting what that means. Because I also have the Seven of Pentacles, which is about waiting, like having planted your seeds and waiting for the results, to reap the rewards, waiting for that. And then we also have the Five of Swords, which in this case, in this specific card, looks like sort of giving up or taking a stance, but not like super hard backing it up. So I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what to make of this, so I'm gonna pull some more cards to see what to make of this exactly. I have the Knight of Swords, which is, for me, an energy that is like all going. And I think that the different energies that we see here are literally the two cards that I just pulled for clarifiers. On one side, we have the Knight of Swords, someone who is impulsive, someone who just goes and talks without really thinking. And then the other card is the Hanged One, someone who is okay with being in a place sort of stagnant, but it's intentional. So it's like an intentional pause. And that is, I think, what we're seeing right now with Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. I do think that, yeah, Nikki Haley is, I'm not a Nikki Haley stan. Let's be very clear on that. I am not a Republican Party enthusiast, if you will. I don't even vote in America or in the US. So let that be very clear. But I do think that like Donald Trump is the one who just talks without thinking, who is that impulsive idiot, you know. And I do think that there is a lot more intention behind what Nikki Haley is doing. I'm not saying that she's gonna win this shit, because so far it very much looks like Donald Trump is in the lead. But I don't think this will be the last that we see of Nikki Haley, in case she does drop out or gets outvoted or whatever, how that works. So yeah, in that, let's see. I do think that right now she's like planting the seeds for potentially in the future, reaping the rewards, and being a known figure in politics, which she already is, of course. But it's going to be interesting to see in future elections. I don't think this is the last that we will see of Nikki Haley. You know, she's still running strong, I guess. I mean, not super strong, but you know what I mean. She's still running, and she hasn't given up yet. So let's take a look at Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's future as presidential candidate. What can we expect to see from Nikki Haley in this election? We have the Seven of Swords. This election is not easy on her. It's not being made easy for her, with a lot of Trump supporters being all about Trump and then anti whoever else is running against him. And Trump very much makes that possible because he does that too. He is the one who feels like if you run against me, then you're an enemy. And it's so fucking childish, right? But that is really weighing heavy in Nikki Haley's campaign right now, because a lot of people are Trump supporters for whatever fucking reason. Because I feel he has a charisma of a wet fucking tissue, but what do I know? And I think that is what is going to make it very, very difficult for Nikki Haley. Not just the fact that Trump is her opponent, but also everything that comes with that. All the Trump supporters being anti whoever seems to be against Trump, even though they're in the same fucking team. They're just gonna see like who's gonna be the team captain. You know, that is what this is. And Trump is just fucking childish. So I think that's all that we can see for Haley's future, or what I want to take a look at. Because next I want to take a look at Trump's future as a presidential candidate. What can we expect? Because it's obvious that he's not giving up as a presidential candidate. He's doing pretty well. We have the Five of Cups, which is so fucking funny because that is the exact same card that, what is her name? Paula pulled on Fox News when she did a reading on Trump as well. The Five of Cups is a card of loss. It's a card of focusing a lot on the negativities, focusing a lot on everything that you don't have instead of focusing on what you do have. And we're going to see a lot more of that in Trump in this presidential election. He's always going to be focusing on negative. He's never going to focus on the positive. Like, I've seen this a lot with a lot of these right-wing parties. I've seen it in the Netherlands as well, where there's a lot of talk about what the problem is, but not really coming up with a solution, not a viable solution. All the solutions are like super dumb, not doable, or just cruel. And we're going to see a lot more of that. Then I also have the Four of Cups, which to me talks about boredom, about not being satisfied. So and it makes sense. If you always focus on the negative, if you wallow in that self-pity, if you always have that pessimistic outlook on life, then yeah, you're not going to be satisfied. And I think that is in some way almost driving him, but I also think that it's gonna bite him in the ass. We have the Nine of Wands, which talks about persistence, about resilience. He's not giving up. He is gonna go until the end, until he gets voted out. Like he will not be voted out for as a Republican presidential candidate, probably. But will he be voted out in the actual presidential election in November? I don't know. I wanna get one more card for the presidential candidacy for Trump. Oh, I dropped a card, and that card was the Six of Swords, but it ended up being reversed. So a transition that is being stopped, that is being blocked. Ooh. So is this, like, the first thing that comes to mind is there has been a big shift, a big transition, if you will, within the Republican Party, where there are a lot more extremist politicians who are wanting more extreme policies, mostly the anti-trans policies, anti-LGBT anything policies. But, and I'm not saying that Trump is like super pro LGBT, he is such an ally, but he just doesn't really give a shit about that. So I don't think that there will be a lot of focus on that necessarily in the campaign, nor in the policies would he get elected. So I don't think that there, honestly, it's like if he gets elected, it's gonna be really shitty. But he is not going to bring about so many changes. He's not going to bring about change because he doesn't know how. He has no vision. It looks like he has a vision, like make America great again, but he has no vision. There's nothing in that head. Like, that sounds mean, but that is truly how I'm feeling. He is all feelings and impulse. There's no thought. Really. Yeah, there's like quick evaporating quickly thoughts, but there's no substance when it comes to him, his policies. It's really quite sad that he has gotten such a huge following based on the nothing that he really is and that he has to offer. So let's take a look at Trump's lawsuits and presidential race, because he is going through some lawsuits, and those lawsuits had already, I don't know if they actually resulted in, but I know both Colorado and I think Maine wanted Trump off the ballot. So let's take a look if we can expect more of that, or what the lawsuits effect is going to have on the presidential race. So we have Strength, we have Page of Pentacles, and we have the Eight of Pentacles. Oh, and I got the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is the one that really jumps out at me, because the King of Cups is someone who is kind, who is really kind-hearted, who is super like wholesome, definitely stands his ground, but will not be messed with, is very emotionally balanced. We already talked about that is not Trump. So I wonder what energy that pertains to. And it could be that it's people, that it's, first of all, like a prosecutor or something like that. I don't really know how the American justice system works. I think most Americans don't even know how the American justice system works, or they know that it barely works. But maybe I've been watching a little bit too much true crime. So it could be like a prosecutor or someone like in the legal system who is against Trump, who is working against Trump. But I also think that this is a general energy that a lot of people in a lot of states have against Trump, because they just feel like it's not logical, it's not emotionally just to have someone on the ballot who is in the midst of so many really bad lawsuits. It's lawsuits about anything. It's not only just the documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago like a year ago. It's not just the the uprising from January 6th, and it's also not just the how do I say that, sexual harassment, sexual assault charges against him. It's all of it together, and there's more. So how is it, like, how the fuck is it justified to have this man on any ballot? I don't get it. And I think that that is a sentiment that is shared among a lot of people. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him get off of any other ballots. So that's that. With the Eight of Pentacles, we have hard work, keeping up with like sticking to a routine, doing the thing. And I think that that is representative of Trump. Like I just said, he's resilient. He's going to go through to the end. He is going to keep in this routine. He's not going to change up his messaging too much. He's not going to change up the things that he does because he feels like it's working. You know, he has a shit ton of followers. But then also on the other side here, I have the Strength card, which to me talks mostly about inner strength. And I have the Page of Pentacles, which is about new beginnings, new beginnings in a career. So that is really interesting. I'm not really sure what to make of it, so I could definitely pull another card for that. Let me think, like, could this indicate maybe someone getting involved in the lawsuits or in the presidential race? I'm feeling more lawsuits. Who is getting involved, who is maybe at the start of their career or met Trump when they're both early in their careers. Something like that. Someone who is very goal-oriented, someone who's very focused on, we need to get justice. We need to put him behind bars because that is that's justice. That's what he deserves because he has committed all of these crimes. And it's going to take a very emotionally and mentally, physically also probably strong person to do that. So again, this could be the Persecutor. This could be the general feel, the general vibe, energy of people who want to see Donald Trump arrested in fucking jail. That's what I'm feeling here. Okay, so the last question that I want answered is, what can we expect from Trump moving forward in 2024? What can we expect from Trump? Ooh, Trump. In 2024, I dropped a card again. And this is the Nine of Swords. Oh shit. I hope this means that he's gonna get a lot of nightmares. We have the Chariot. Again, he's gonna be moving forward. He's gonna be motivated. We have the Eight of Swords, which... I do think that the Eight of Swords has come up before in a reading that I did on Donald Trump, and that is about restrictions. So him being restricted. Now, we already have seen some limitations, I guess, when he was stripped off the ballot in Maine and Colorado. If that is something that like actually went through, I'm not really sure. I never really followed up on it now that I'm thinking about it. And we also have the Three of Swords. So we have anxiety, we have heartbreak, old traumas, old pains, and we have limitations. We also have Chariot, like moving forward, going along, like nothing happened. And I think that this talks about the overall feel, the overall reputation that Trump has, because people have not forgotten what it was like to have him as a president, not just to be the laughing stock of the world, basically, of the Western world, I guess, but also just the pain that he caused and the I always said when Trump became president, it wasn't just that people were scared of what he was going to do necessarily. I mean, yes, it was part of it. But I also think that the most harm that was done when he became president was that it showed that it was okay to say those horrible things that he said about people. And it showed, it gave people an out. It gave people ammunition. It gave people motivation and justification to say and do horrible fucking shit. And I think that since Trump became president, we've only seen more and more of that. We've only seen more and more radicalization. And I think a lot of people have not forgotten that. I think a lot of people are still hurt by that. A lot of people are still actively being hurt by that. And I think that is going to weigh in. I think that's going to weigh in here in the election. I mean, Biden is not great. It's not a great alternative. But I think people will keep that in mind when voting either Trump or Biden, probably in November. Ooh, okay. So next I want to do something fun. We're going to do a viewer message, which is where I go to the previous episode comments or into my Instagram inbox to see if someone left a comment. And Deanna Nagel said, "Thank you for sharing this knowledge and awareness." And she commented that on the previous episode, in which I talked about the Twin Flames universe, which is an online cult that uses a lot of spiritual lingo. If you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend you listen to that next. But for now, thank you so much for listening to Reading on the Headlines. Head over to readingontheheadlines.com to send me a voice message with a request, question, or topic so you can be featured on the next episode. Stay safe, stay sane, and do some self-care today.